Welcome to the newest episode of the European Republic, the podcast about European federalism, connecting activists, politicians, and media people from across the pro-European space. And today I'm joined by a special guest, the first, but not the last, of the newly elected members of Volt Europa's new board. I hope to speak with others soon too, one after another. But today we begin here with Marina. Marina, welcome and congratulations to your election.
Hello, Nikodem. Thank you very much for your invitation. I wish you a lot of success in this project, which is amazing for politics, but also for voters.
Thank you very much. And likewise, great to have you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you succeed. But I think Volt already is somewhat a success. It's the first really successful Euro-Federalist party with over 40,000 members, 5 MEPs, I think 360 elected officials. So I think for now, Volt doesn't need an introduction. And we will get to what you do at Volt soon. But let's start with you. What's your background and how did you start getting active in European politics?
I was born and raised in Albania.
Mhm.
I studied political science. I studied in Macedonia. I had my master's of European studies in Albania, half of it, and half of it in Turkey, in Istanbul. I mostly work with organization, honestly, related to human rights, women rights, environmental. I was not involved in politics in Albania. I was looking for politics beyond our borders, European politics. That was the reason why I chose to involve in politics, to study politics. It comes also from my personal experience, my family, my society in Albania. I always saw citizens very disconnected from politics, without information about decision making, without basic needs, low standards. So I was curious to know the system. I was curious to know how politics work. I was curious to know why some people have less and some people have more. Some countries are different and some countries are living in the best way. That's why I joined politics, but that was a reason also I joined Volt. I felt another environment where people were very close to politics, and the politics was not about borders anymore, but just was about Europe, was about freedom, was about dignity, was about equal opportunities.
Mhm.
And this is what Volt aims to do. And this is what I was aiming to do in my politics as a young person as well.
And why like the European level? Because I mean, Albania right now isn't yet in the EU. So why do you go active on the European level instead of like starting on the Albanian level? What was the motivation?
I have received a lot of these questions. Why not in Albania? I was not happy with Albanian politics. This is what made me also travel to study abroad.
Mhm.
This made me travel and live somewhere else. I had my family suffering from a health system, and I was very frustrated. Students don't have the opportunity to take a good education. They have to pay for it. They have to pay a lot to educate themselves when the salaries are lower than the minimal range, I think, in Europe. So, and the political system, it's fully corrupted. We have two main political parties who are deciding for everything, who do not have transparency, who have bringing the same political way in Albania for more than 20 and 30 years. So why I have to join in Albanian politics when I am a young person who studied abroad? I was trying to work for my family. I was trying to build a new system when all the students have the opportunity to stay in their country and not to travel. This is why I traveled. This is why I choose to study in another place, because Albanian system didn't give this opportunity. And also my family couldn't support me to have a good education because, as I said before, you need to pay. You need to pay for your books because the professor will tell you at school, please buy my book for 100 euro. Otherwise, I will not give you your grade.
Well, they do that in Germany as well, quite often, to be honest. But I think that's universal with professors just trying to make an extra buck.
Yeah, maybe it's also normal in Germany.
Mhm.
But what kind of support do you have in Germany? Because here do not have support for students to use public transportation. They do not have support to print or copy their materials for school. This is another business.
Yeah. So
Great business. So how can someone living, for example, in rural area, coming in China to study and afford all of this corrupted system when you have to pay everywhere, when their parents have 200 euro per month salary or 300.
Yeah, of course, it's complete different, also cost-wise, complete different relationship then. But would you say then Europe was for you from the very beginning like promised land of opportunities where you saw, okay, here are like better functioning institutions and you have further opportunities and you want to be Albania also part of that? What was like the core, the institutions, the support opportunities? What makes Europe for you
Yeah, it's
so
not that
special?
it's not that I saw Europe as a promised land.
Hmm.
I saw Europe a better system that can offer equal opportunities for all citizens
Hmm.
within Volt in this case. That's why I joined Volt. Okay, because we constantly talk about Europe and its success, but we do not talk enough about its failing. So there's a lot of failing as well. We have a lot of problems in Europe as well, but at least EU countries are doing another kind of politics, which is not being done in countries that are struggling to go to European Union. Because as I said, the democracy is totally different. What is democracy for Germany or for France? It's something different thought in Albania. As I said, we suffer for basic needs. Women do not have where to complain, where to go to talk to someone when they have violence in their home. So there's a total different reality. And when I say I wanted to participate in European politics, I wanted to bring some European standards in countries who are struggling for democracy and for basic rights, because we cannot treat Europe as the same in general. Some countries are better, and some countries who are struggling to go to the European Union are suffering for basic needs. And that's a fact. We today are doing for a month protest because our governance has passed a law for protected areas 21 of 2024 without passing it in the parliament.
Okay, they sold this natural reservoir basically with Trump.
Yeah. So in countries like Albania, in this case, citizens are not even informed what is passing or what is not passing in the parliament. So now all their protected areas are being sold.
Yeah, to American oligarchs, basically. And you are also organizing protests against that.
Yes, we are part of the organizing protests from the beginning, but as a Volt Albania, we have also informed about this law 21/2024, which was changed. And in that time, the airport of Vlora started building in Vlora, which has no function at all. And we started informing citizens about the cost of this investment for protected area, but also for our citizens, because it's building with our taxes, but also it's built in a protected area. We have been informing this constantly, but also, as I said, we started protesting since the day one. We have been working closely with our MEPs so they could deliver the issue in the European Union Parliament. So yes, the protests are going peaceful because we want to have as much involvement as possible, so everyone can come, and everyone is coming. Children, grandparents, students, everyone is in the protest. You should see they bring also their papers, their pens, and they pen their posters. It's very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful protests I have ever been before, and we are doing it. We are constantly informing to be peaceful and to be collaborating with each other, because otherwise the government, as usual, can use for its own interest, provoke us, and separate the protest, which is been trying to do for more than a month now with the protest. But it's going quite peaceful until we give a deadline for our Prime Minister, and so he can quit and also change the 2021 of 2024 law for protected areas.
So maybe for those that are not that well informed, can you just summarize in details what's happened and what you're protesting against concretely?
Yeah. Okay, this protest actually started, as I said, for the issue of Narta Lagoon and Vjosa-Narta. The law for protected area 21 of 2024 has been changed without passing in the parliament, and this law is allowing governments to build and invest in protected areas. So what happened after this law, which has passed without citizen consent, they have started to build Vlora airport in a protected area as well, and also a lot of other investments in different areas of Albania. And they started also building and putting a wall in this area of Narta Lagoon, not letting also people of that area entering it, because they started to build. So, and then it was official made that this area is going to be sold to Ivanka, Trump, and Jared Kushner for private investment of $1.4 billion. And for an area that Ivanka Trump pretends that she discovered a normal day swimming. A protected area that Albanian citizens use every summer, and it's one of the most beautiful areas that we have.
Mm-hmm.
This is why protests started. And after we didn't have an explanation from the Prime Minister or a statement, he started arguing that this is not a protest. You people that are protesting are crazy. Flamingos are just birds.
Because in the area you have a lot of flamingos, right?
There is no protest, like there is no project as well. Even though Ivanka already said that I have a project for this area. So his arrogance and the arrogance in general from the governance make people awake, make people more angry. And they thought, okay, wait a minute, because we don't have only this problem in Albania, but we are lying for almost 13 years. You're lying for protected areas. You're lying about investment. You're lying about salaries. You don't have invested in students. You have not supported old people. Like basically, he has not done anything, only investing and changing Albanian into a luxury resort. For who? For people that are rich, not from Albania, because Albanian people cannot afford this kind of investment. He's representing Albania abroad for a lot of stuff that are not representing Albanian people, even in politics, even about agreements.
So basically,
so Narta Vjosa was just the reason that caused all the anger to come out for the Albanian people. That's why they are protesting for a month now to make him quit from his power, not only to protect Narta and Vjosa, but also to make him quit from his power, because they are enough of having no support or new reforms for a prime minister for almost 13 years. And we have also to mention that the emigration is being raised every year, that students, young people are leaving from Albania every year.
Yeah. But what do you hope to achieve? And also, can the EU have here some leverage, because Albania is now trying to join the EU 2027, 2028. And for that, it has to fulfill certain standards of anti-corruption and democratic participation, which from the sound what you're telling me doesn't sound that it's currently fulfilling it with the recent moves of the government. So does the EU can help here put pressure, or what's your strategy?
That's why we have been working closely with our MEPs of Volt Europa. We have sent all the necessary history and documents from this law that I mentioned before. We are waiting for the MEPs on Monday, July 29th, to come in Albania. The delegation is coming to Albania and they're participating in the protest, but also they are going to see Narta, Lagoon, and Vjosa River. They're traveling. So I think there's a lot of pressure from Europe. I think we are doing great until now, because the European Union is constantly putting pressure on our governance. Every media is talking about the protest. So the news is everywhere about this issue. Everyone is trying to support and to help. Actually, also European Commission has put a report towards Edi Rama and his governance to check again this investment, if it's going to be done under the protected area law and for ecosystems, and also to investigate if this area is being sold or not. So I think there's a lot of pressure, and what we aim is, as I said before, to change the system, to bring a new system, and also to protect our lands, because recently, as I have also informed you before, we don't have any more problem with Vjosa-Narta, another protected area yesterday was found destroyed. So also given for luxury investment. So there is a lack of transparency in everything this government has been doing over these years, and every day we are discovering new things related with corruption activities that are aiming just to sell Albanian lands for private investment around the world, and also making Albanian people leave from their own country. Because if we are talking for this kind of investment that Albanian people cannot afford, of course they will try to leave from the country.
Yeah, you get priced out basically.
Yes.
Because you can't afford any longer to live in your own country. Do you see immediate reactions? So, I mean, will the government give in, or are they still stubborn right now?
I'm sorry?
Do you see some hope that the government will give in, especially giving the EU pressure, or are they still stubborn?
We are hopeful about us as a protesters.
Okay.
That's the most important part. We are decided to go on with the protest and every day, as we have been doing for almost a month.
Great.
So the government is not doing anything else just to embarrassing themselves. They're embarrassing more and more every day, giving facts that they just show that they have been so corrupted over these years. A prime minister that makes jokes with flamingos in a protected area, I don't think it's something normal, even in a dictatorship country, because what this is happening in a dictatorship, is a modern dictatorship, because medias are being sold, medias are not reporting the protest. Protest is being reported by citizens that are in the protest, and also tourists that are in the protest as well, filming all the protests and also sharing to medias around Europe. This is a fact. No media is talking about protests, and no media is sharing the real action that is happening in the squares. So I think we will gonna do some real actions in a few days, especially the fact that we are waiting for the EU delegations on Monday. It's quite good for us. We are also preparing some reports to send to them. What are we protesting for? What are we looking for? Why we are so upset? So there are some actions on the way from citizens, from us as Volt Albania, and from all citizens as well. So they were not going to be our choice. As I said, we are decided to protest every day, and we are happy to see a governance failing every day, posting bullshit, because there is a governance that is sharing every day bullyism. He is bullying all the people who are protesting. Edi Rama, in his website, in his social media, is posting people from the protest and bullying them.
But it's very common, like playbook from authoritarian governments. We saw that also in Hungary, where Orban controlled all the media and also
Yes, and
bullied and
we are
he lost.
aiming the same fate for our prime minister. We are saying the same fate for the second Orban.
Yeah,
That's
that would be great.
That's a goal.
I think that's also what we saw now in Hungary. I think it's very motivating in general for European democratic movements, because even if the autocratic governments have the support from Trump, even if they own the media, they often lose to just citizens organizing themselves, producing their own content, being active online, and also working across Europe together. And that's something very special about Volt, is that it's a party and a movement that's not only active in one country, but it has like this entire network across the continent, which I think will help you a lot. And I think maybe that's a good perspective to look more at what Volt is maybe helping you here in Albania and what you're doing, because you're like co-president of Volt Albania, I think still, and you just got elected to the European board of Volt.
Yes, I'm still co-president for a few days more officially, and then I will start my new role as a non-executive board member of Volt Europa, which I'm very happy, because for the first time there is a non-EU country represented in the board of Volt Europa, and this is my goal as well. As a non-executive board member, I want to make sure we have a good representation of all countries, because politics should not be about borders, should be beyond borders. Because when democracy is a problem beyond borders, as well, so politics should be something beyond borders. So what I'm trying to say is that with this new role, I'm trying to build trust into young people, build trust so they can involve more in politics. I know that most people, I think, feel disconnected from politics. There are a lot of reasons happening around Europe. I think people have been losing trust and feeling disconnected from the politics, or maybe being a bit skeptical that politics is difficult and it's strange and etc. Volt is a movement, not only a party. It's a movement that is close to people, and I want also to strengthen this role with Volt. Also, I want to strengthen the role of the board as an important structure of Volt Europa. I think we need to be the first structure that people come to us and share their necessities, share their complaints, share everything they want to share, as not only Volt, but as also chapters. And I want to represent the structure of transparency, hardworking, close to people, the structure that involves everyone, that structure that works for for everyone involved and work to grow up more in every chapter. And for me, which is more important, is investing in small chapters. I see this balance between strong chapters and small or new chapters. That's why we are still struggling as a Volt to grow in all Europe in the same way. So I think, yeah, this is my goal. And I'm very happy, as I said, because I'm representing Albania, and it happened now in a critical moment for Albania, which has years working towards the European Union. So I'm happy to put a hand on this issue, so we can bring us more European standards in Albania and make this way faster for it.
How will that, I mean, you're just starting out, but do you think will that practically work? Because one of the big challenges of, like, I think Volt, but every pan-European politics is that Europe is very big. So it's very hard to be close to the people. So either you travel around a lot, or do you have some ideas, more concrete, how you want to bring Volt closer to the people?
When I say connecting people, I don't mean only traveling. I can travel to chapters even as a co-president of Volt Albania, not necessarily a non-executive board. What I aim to do is to build structure. A large movement as Volt needs a great structure. So what I mean is, when I say putting some support in small chapters, is by creating trainship, sharing knowledge, training new leaders that share our principle as Volt. This is what I mean, is creating platforms that share the same visibility to every chapter, using tools that give space for information, give space for question and answer, give space to build political academias, so we can have trained people, so we can have great leaders in every chapter. So it's not about traveling, it's about investing in people.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's the most important thing for every political movement are the people.
Absolutely. Do you personally know all the co-presidents of every chapter?
No.
Exactly.
I know a few, like I know of Germany and Poland with the names, but even they're not all. Also because it's a crowded field and Europe is big. It's hard to keep track, even if you're like interested of it. Yeah.
I know. You don't necessarily have to know every co-president or every chapter, but at least when you think about a chapter, you can find easy information about this chapter as part of Volt. So this is what I mean. We need to invest in people. We need to invest in great leaders that can share the same values for Volt. They can also have some facilities and structure to give trainship, to make workshops in their chapters, so they can involve more people. We cannot just build a chapter and just then go to build another chapter when they need people, they need investment, they need support, they need activities, they need visibility.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, a big challenge also is, I think, that Volt in many countries is like still in the beginning stage. So some countries it's like an NGO, an association. Some countries it's already a political party running for elections. So I think also there are like different priorities. Like in the Netherlands or Germany, you try to run for parliaments, you try to get MPs in. While in countries like Albania, you have like, or Poland, and Poland also doesn't have like a party yet. It's still in the association level.
Yeah, but I understand that it's difficult to build immediately everywhere in every corner. And I'm not saying that this is something that should happen in a few months or in a year.
No, it will be a long project.
So it can be an association in Poland, and that's okay. It can be an organization in Albania, and that's okay. But at least there is something. There is something happening, and there's something that has support. There is something that has also a good leader. There is something that has at least members who work actively. Okay, and also there are also people from Volt Europa who actively see what's happening and actively share information with them and actively organize meetings with them and actively ask them what they need. Okay, so it's not important to build everywhere as a political party. It's important to be present and to share knowledge and to share European standards and to share what Volt is. I know that in some chapters they don't feel even association, they don't feel even as a party, they don't even are an organization. They just say that's this number of members, but we work in this way, but that's it. So I think that's what I said in the beginning. It's important to invest in people so we can have Volt in every corner, but also to be able to fit into realities, with local realities. And then we can make these local realities part of our policies as Volt Europa.
That makes sense. Also, different countries have different policy preferences. That's also another point. How do you approach that? That, for example, one country maybe need policy-wise, one thing is popular. In another country, something else is popular. Let's say, for example, focuses on environmental policies or migration topics. How do you unify Volt under one direction with so many different opinions and ideas and preferences?
Sharing responsibilities.
Mhm.
Sharing responsibilities and knowing what is doing who and who is doing what. And Volt Europa is very important to share responsibilities and to respect the hierarchy. And if we have people in their specific roles, in their specific responsibilities, who work in different issues across different chapters, then it's much easier. If we let people or structures connect with each other without having no interest into each other, but just because they know each other and they are friends, it doesn't work for a movement or a political party. We need to be serious about sharing our responsibilities. We need to be serious about respecting the hierarchy of what people are doing and be able to connect with the problems as much as possible. I know it sounds very difficult, and it's possible when you say that we need different policies across chapters, but it's not so difficult when you know what you're doing.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
And I think before you build a new chapter, you already know what are you doing, and you already know their political system or their history. So in Albania, we are building Volt Albania for almost 2 years now. And I think there was an awareness that Albania has been suffering from communism. It's being aware that Albania are used with communism. It's been aware that our political structures are corrupted. It's been aware that we don't have political culture. So it's already known that it will be very difficult to build a pan-European movement in Albania.
Mm.
As I said before, because they have totally different concepts about democracy, politics, etc. But it's about finding right people in different chapters who know their reality. For example, I know my reality in Albania, so that's why I'm working with Volt Albania. And I'm doing Volt Albania, a pan-European movement in Albania that knows very well their citizens and they know that they need. I know that I cannot talk to Albanian people about feminism and democracy and I don't know, European Union or elections, etc. When they are suffering from other things now, they are suffering just to have a new system. They are just suffering for healthcare. They are just suffering to have a platform where they can complain.
But is there also something here, also the strength of a pan-European movement that you can also learn from other countries? Because, like, of course, every country is unique. But for example, as you said, the communist past or issues with corruption, that were problems that also face, for example, Romania or Hungary in different ways. Are you aware in like active exchange with other Volt chapters and like trying to maybe learn best practices? How do we approach, for example, corruption?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is also an option that I use not only as a co-president of Volt Albania, but also I aim to use as a non-executive board. We need to teach from each other, need to learn. I know every chapter or every country has their own story, but I think also politics is about country culture. So there is an expression that people used to choose their leader, but I know that today it doesn't make any sense. But if we see, for example, Albanian history, in the beginning they loved Edi Rama. Look, this guy with a different style, talking about Europe, very promising, artist, crazy, etc., etc. Say so for Albanian mentality was very interesting for their culture, the way of doing things. And now, when they have heard a lot about Europe, they have traveled, they are living abroad, they know how Europe works. Now they are requiring something else. So I think this is also about their cultures. But we can learn from each other, of course. And this is what I'm aiming to do as a non-executive. I want to meet as much chapters as I can, especially those countries who are, as I said, walking towards European Union, or they have but they have different political ways. So I can bring also the best example for Albania. I know, especially for Albania, it's a long journey to European Union still, especially after this situation. But there is a lot of hope. At least we have citizens that are willing to go to European Union and to have new system of politics, not old system anymore, and that's the most important things.
Maybe like thought experiment. You are like successful, everything goes well. Where do you see like Europe, Albania, Volt in like, let's say 15 years? What would be like your vision, your dream scenario of it? Everything went well. How would Europe function? How would Albania look like? Do you have like a vision for that?
Do I have a vision? How do I see Albania and Volt after 15 years?
Yeah, or 15 or 10 years in the long run. How should Europe and Albania look like if things go well?
I see Albania part of European Union for sure. I see Albania the same standards of living with the same opportunities without inequalities. I see Volt, the main movement. I see Volt, the main movement who bring this challenge and bring this area in Albania. I don't know if I will be in the same position, but what I'm also trying to do over this year that I aim to do is just to bring this reality that I mentioned before, making Volt a main political movement in Albania, but the force who brought the Europe in Albania and Albania in Europe. So for sure, there's always going to be problems. I don't want to be another politician who just promises a best life ever and no problems at all. There are always going to be problems. We have everywhere a problem because we are human beings. We are different desires. We want to work differently, but at least people in Albania or other countries with the same history as Albania will not suffer for basic needs, will not suffer for education. Education is a basic need. It's not a privilege, should not be a privilege. Calling police should not be a privilege. It's a basic need that as a citizen you need to have close to you when you're vulnerable moments. And this is not, you may think that what she's saying, but actually it's a fact in Albania and in other countries. I want people to feel safe. I want people to feel safe in their home. I want as much women to be educated. And what is more important, I want to see students and young people who think about living and studying in Albania. This should be their first option. And then if they desire, of course, they can travel. But I want Albania to be their first option to live and to study. If some young people think to live in their country, to study in their country, to invest in their country, to build their family in their country, I think you are doing good. I think there's a good politic.
Yeah, that's a sign of it.
Because that's a reason of emigration at the end of the day. That's people I think are immigrating so much because, and especially if you know, immigration is coming from third countries going to the privileged country for a better life.
But it's also deeply human.
Of course, it is human. As I said, I mentioned before, if something that they wish to do, they can do. But I mean that I don't want to people emigrate just because they cannot even afford an education in their country or they cannot afford their rent.
No, and that would be wonderful. Also, that also brings back to the point of like being close to the people. I think even in the Bratislava Declaration you had from the General Assembly, there was something about strengthening local structures, if I remember correctly, and empowering people where they live, building the future. I think here, I think the sentence was "build your future here." That's a very strong vision, I think, for Albania. But about Europe as a whole, Albania should and other countries should join the EU, but should also the EU get deeper integrated? I mean, that's one of the original ideas of Volt, is the Euro-federalist idea, moving Europe towards a stronger federation of European army and so on. Is that a topic that is for you very important, or is expanding the EU for now the higher priority?
I think, yes, this is something I mentioned in the GA, but also advocating for federalism from Albania is something that comes with a set of challenges. And because we are not an EU country, and also I want to mention that before we speak about federalism, also we need to rebuild the trust of the idea of Europe. And as I mentioned before, we are in totally different states of politics in Albania or other countries, or in Germany or in France or in Italy. So we are advocating to be part of Europe, first of all. And when I say the GA, I said we need to invest in local communities, in local practices. So we as a Volt can grow more and more in every corner of Europe, and making feel European and part of Europe also countries and communities that they feel totally disconnected. And so I would say before talking about federalism, we need also to build a lot of trust about Europe, because in some countries they talk a lot about Europe. They try to involve them in decision making, but they are not part of decision making because decision making is still being done in the same way.
What do you mean with decision making done the same way? Do you mean now the EU level or the national governments?
No, I always mean in this case the EU level. The EU level. Because when it's about something that's happening in countries that are not in European Union, it takes a month. It takes a month. It takes 2 months. Would you say, but Europe has a lot of problems to deal with? But there are a lot of people working for European Union, a million people working for European Union. So it's very easy to make investigation what's happening somewhere in Europe, in non-EU country, something that is really disrespecting human rights, something that is really disrespecting citizens. And this process takes a month. And luckily, for example, in our latest issue in Albania, we have been lucky that we have our MEPs. But what about a country that does not have an MEP?
Well, they struggle. That's, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I always said that Volt should not only work with political structures, but also should work with society, with community, to change their mentality, to touch their needs. Because Volt has this opportunity. Volt can be a really main force in Europe and in every chapter. So and I also can build this trust that I mentioned before. And before we promise a lot of things about federalism, we just need to be, first of all, realistic of what are the needs and who is requesting what, who is in European Union, and what are the differences. Because there are a lot of differences, and somewhere someone cannot even understand what is federalism.
But what would you say is like the most important thing now to like build trust? And also look, that's one question. Another one I'm wondering, because the EU, I mean, for me, the federalist vision is very important, and especially things like the European army. Looking at, for example, the war in Ukraine, and when I look at Volt as a EU federalist party, for me, one reason why I also voted for Volt in the past or supported Volt was also saying, well, they advocate for like United States of Europe or a European army, which are very important, I think, issues for the EU right now. But of course, they make it harder for the EU to also expand. So there's like a trade-off. What should we prioritize?
For United Europe, for United Europe, we need to prioritize the real problems, the bigger problems, and the tendency to not talk about the only problem that is happening, not even in Europe, which is mostly is being done.
What are those problems?
We need to prioritize. I totally agree that as a Volt, as a movement, we need to be everywhere. We need to talk everywhere, because what's happening around Europe, it's directly affects European citizens in a way or another. But when I said to prioritize the problems is, for example, I live in Albania. We don't have access in our lands currently. We don't have access to use public areas for holidays currently. We need to pay for it. We are risky to not have access anymore in the most beautiful part of Albania because it can be sold. We're talking about an area that is also is linked with Europe. If it's being sold, for example, to Ivanka Trump, Europe will not have access also in Albanian lands. We will have totally different propaganda being part of Europe inside of it. So we cannot pretend that this is an issue happening somewhere, because everything that's happening around Europe, in every country that is in Europe, it's affecting to everyone. And you may see the effects after a year, after 2 years, when the propaganda is being done, when the investments are being done, and when you will not have access, not only as Albanian citizens, but also as European citizens, to that land. So this is what I meant, and this is also what I meant when I said to build trust in people is about talking in a real time about problems. It's being mentioned a lot. The war everywhere. Of course, it's a serious problem. Of course, absolutely, it's affect migration. It's affect the residents. It's affect Europe. It means new policies about migration, etc., etc. But we are prioritizing something that it's happening for a lot of time, and we are not talking about a problem that is happening in real time. This is a problem that I notice every day happening in Europe. And then we start talking about it and doing something, investigating after it has passed 6 months. When it's done. You may say, yeah, it's part of the system. Of course, it's part of the system. But since we are talking for United Europe, then also we need to openly speak about it, what's happening.
Well, that makes insofar for me sense that the EU is often very slow, or Europe in general is very slow in responding to local issues, also to crises. Um, do you do you have concrete ideas how the EU or Europe could change, like digitalized change institutionally? How we could fix that? What can we do?
In which case, please?
And to make the EU more responsive to acute issues and current problems.
We need to fix this within Volt. That's why I'm part of Volt. That's why I openly speaks about everything, and that's why I aim to change and to build as a non-executive board. And that's what I mentioned before, creating new structures, creating strong structures, focusing on our shared responsibilities. This is a way of making Volt a main force in Europe.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think we are starting to wrap it up because on looking on the clock, is there something you want to like maybe tell the listeners, viewers, if we want to get involved in European politics, some advice want to share?
Yes, I will call young people to join in politics, not to join in politics because they feel the pressure of changing their society or something, but I call them to join politics if they really like politics, but they are skeptical about it or they are scared about it. I call to join. I call them to invest in their society. I call them to be ambitious, and I call them to understand that politics is about them. Politics must be about them. And we are very close with politics since we are responsible citizens. We are living with a lot of responsibilities. But also they need to be aware that they need to decide about their fate, about their the way they live in their country. And Europe is about them. World is about them. We are free people. So let's not forget the human side as well, not only talk about politics, but let's also understand what kind of rights do we have as human being. And if we understand what rights we have as human being, then we will start also involving more in politics because we will try to make it.
Yeah.
So I will also call them to be part of Volt. This is the main force I joined when I finished my studies. I was looking for something different. I found Volt. I was lucky. I was lucky because I didn't have to prove a lot. I didn't have to put. I have a lot of knowledge and experience, as usually works for political parties. I was just a young people full of passion to change my reality, to invest in politics, and to grow professionally.
Yeah.
I will also call for support for Albania to give visibility as much as possible. We know that our governance is going weaker and weaker. We know that. So as stronger we are in this fight, as sooner we will have a new system. And it's not about Albania, it's about people. It's not about Albania anymore. We will say, no, it's Albania and that's it. It's about people. And this kind of issues can happen everywhere when we let all politics direct us how they wish.
It's a very powerful message. And I agree. We have, especially young people, have to just get active into politics. And I think what very beautiful is about movements like Volt that you can do it, especially as we're new and we're growing. And we need this somewhat of a democratic renewal, not only in Albania. I think in all of Europe can benefit from young people getting active, also new parties like Volt. and renewing the system.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
Marina, it was a great pleasure talking to you. Thanks for
Thank
your
you very much.
time and best of success with your tenure and with your protests today.
Thank you very much, Nikodem. I really appreciate your invitation. I wish you a lot of success. This kind of podcast is very necessary to share knowledge, to talk about different issues, to be close to people. So really appreciate your initiative, and I want to see more of your videos.
Thank you very much. I'm on it. I'm recording like crazy right now, and I'm looking forward to building a more European discourse, connecting, getting in
Absolutely.
touch with more people.
Yes, if you ever need anything from board of Volt Europa, please let me know, and I will be very happy to work on something for people, for young people, for everyone. So thank you.
You will hear from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.